Chapter 17.
Chapter 17.
A moon half gone from the full glowed through a ring of mist among the high branches of the eucalyptus tree on Laverne Terrace. A radio sounded loudly from a house low down the hill. The boy swung the car over to the box hedge in front of Geiger's house, killed the motor, and sat looking straight before him with both hands on the wheel. No light showed through Geiger's hedge. I said, "Anybody home, son? You ought to know." How would I know? Go yourself. Well, that's how people get false teeth. He showed me a tight grin. Then he kicked the door open and got out. I scuttled out after him. He stood with his fists on his hips, looking silently at the house above the top of the hedge. All right, I said, you have a key. Let's go on in. Who said I had a key? Don't kid me, son. The fag gave you one. You've got a nice, clean, manly little room in there. He shooed you out and locked it up when he had lady visitors. He was like Caesar, a husband to a woman and a wife to a man. Think I can't figure people like him and you out? I still held his automatic more or less pointed at him, but he swung on me just the same. He caught me flushing.
What did Marlene say, Pete?
I think she said same.
Stopped.
Go ahead.
I backstepped fast enough to keep from falling, but I took plenty of punch. It was meant to be a hard one. But a pansy has no iron in his bones, whatever he looks like. I threw the gun down at the kid's feet and said, maybe you need this. He stooped forward like a flash. There was nothing slow about his movements. I sank a fist in the side of his neck. He toppled over sideways, falling for the gun and not reaching it. I picked it up again and threw it in the car. The boy came up on all fours, leering with his eyes too wide open. He coughed and shook his head. You don't want to fight, I told him. You're giving away too much weight. He wanted to fight. He shot at me like a plane from a catapult, reaching for my knees in a diving tackle. I sidestepped and reached for his neck and took it into chancery. He scraped the dirt hard and got his feet under him enough to use hands on me where it hurt. I twisted him around and heaved him a little higher. I took hold of my right wrist with my left hand and turned my right hip bone into him, and for a moment it was a balance of weights. We seemed to hang there in a misty moonlight, two grotesque creatures whose feet scraped on the road and whose breath panted with effort. I had my right forearm against his windpipe now, and all the strength of both arms in it. His feet began phonetic shuffle, and he wasn't panting anymore. He was ironbound. His left foot sprawled off to one side, and the knee went slack.
What did Marlene say, Vito?
I think she said frenzy.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I held on half a minute longer. He sagged on my arm, an enormous weight I could hardly hold up. Then I let go. He sprawled at my feet, out cold. I went to the car and got a pair of handcuffs out of the glove compartment and twisted his wrist behind him and snapped them on. I lifted him by the armpits and managed to drag him in behind the hedge, out of sight from the street. I went back to the car and moved it 100 feet up the hill and locked it. He was still out when I got back. I unlocked the door, dragged him into the house and shut the door. He was beginning to gasp now. I switched a lamp on. His eyes fluttered open and focused on me slowly. Bent down, keeping out of the way of his knees, and said, keep quiet or you get the same and more of it. Just lie quiet and hold your breath. Hold it until you can't hold it any longer, and then tell yourself that you have to breathe, that you're black in the face, that your eyeballs are popping out, and that you're going to breathe right now, but that you're sitting strapped in a chair in a clear little gas chamber up in San Quentin. When you take that breath, you're fighting with all your soul not to take it. It won't be air you'll get, it'll be cyanide fumes. That's what they call humane execution in our state now. Go fuck yourself, he said with a soft, stricken sigh. You're going to cop a plea, brother. Don't ever think you're not. And you're going to say just what we want you to say, and nothing we don't want you to say. Go fuck yourself. Say that again, and I'll put a pillow under your head. His mouth twitched. I left him lying on the floor with his wrists shackled behind him, and his cheeks pressed into the rug, and an animal brightness in his visible evil eye. I put up another lamp and stepped into the hallway at the back of the living room. Geiger's bedroom didn't seem to have been touched. I opened the door, not locked now, of the bedroom across the hall from him. There was a dim flickering light in the room and the smell of sandalwood. 2 cones of incense ash stood side by side on a small brass tray and bureau. The light came from the 2 black candles and foot-high candlesticks. They were standing on straight back chairs, one on either side of the bed. Geiger lay on the bed. The 2 missing strips of Chinese tapestry made a St. Andrew's cross over the middle of his body, hiding the blood-smeared front of his Chinese coat. Below the cross, his black pajama legs lay stiff and straight. His feet were in the slippers with thick white felt soles. Above the cross, his arms were crossed as at the wrists, and his hands lay flat against his shoulders. Palms down, fingers close together and stretched out evenly. His mouth was closed, and his Charlie Chan mustache was as unreal as a toupee. His broad nose was pinched and white. His eyes were almost closed, but not entirely. The faint glitter of his glass eye caught the light and waved at me. I didn't touch it. I didn't go very near him. He would be as cold as ice and as stiff as a board. The black candles guttered in the draft from the open door. Drops of black wax crawled down the sides. The air of the room was poisonous and unreal. I went out, shut the door again, and went back to the living room. The boy hadn't moved. I stood still, listening for sirens. It was all a question of how soon Agnes talked.
Then pulled my mouth.
Go ahead.
Said later down.
It was all a question of how soon Agnes talked and what she said. If she talked about Geiger, the police would be there any minute. But she might not talk for hours. She might even have gone away. I looked down at the boy. Want to sit up, son? He closed his eye and pretended to go to sleep. I went over to the desk and scooped up the mulberry-colored phone and dialed Bernie Old's office. He had left to go home at 6 o'clock. I dialed the number of his home. He was there. This is Marlowe, I said.
This is Marlowe,
Did your boys find a revolver this morning? I could hear him clearing his throat. Then could hear him trying to keep the surprise out of his voice. That would come under the heading of police business, he said. If they did, I had 3 empty shells in it. How the hell did you know that? Olds asked quietly. Come over to 7244 Laverne Terrace, off Laurel Canyon Road. I'll show you where the slugs went. Just like that, Just like that.
That really doesn't matter, she told
Old said, look out the window and you'll see me coming around the corner. I thought you acted a little cagey. Cagey is no word for it, I said. Chapter 18. Old stood looking down at the boy. The boy sat on the couch, leaning sideways against the wall. Old looked at him silently, his pale eyebrows glistening and stiff, and round like vegetable brushes, the fuller brush man gives away.
Real pretty.
He asked the boy, you admit shooting Brody? The boy said his favorite 3 words in a muffled voice. Old sighed and looked at me. I said, he doesn't have to admit that. I have his gun. Old said, I wish to Christ I had $1 for every time I've had that said to me. What's funny about it? It's not meant to be funny. Well, that's something, Old said. He turned away. I've called Wild. We'll go over and see him and take this punk. He can ride with me. He can follow on behind him in case he tries to kick me in the face. How do you like what's in the bedroom? I like it fine, Old said. I'm kind of glad Taylor went up off the pier. I'd hate to have to send him to the death house for rubbing that skunk. I went back into the small bedroom, blew out the black candles, and let them smoke. When I got back in the living room, Old had the boy on his feet. The boy stood glaring at him with sharp black eyes, and a face as hard and white as cold mutton fat. Let's go, Old said, and took him by the arm as if he didn't like touching him. I put lamps out and followed them out of the house. We got into our cars and I followed Old's twin taillights down the long curving hill. I hope this would be my last trip to Laverne Terrace. Taggart Wild, the district attorney, lived at the corner of 4th and Lafayette Park in a white frame house with a car barn. with red sandstone port cushion built on one side and a couple of acres of soft rolling lawn in front. It was one of those solid old-fashioned houses which was used to be moved bodily to new locations as the city grew westward. Wilde came of an old Los Angeles family and had probably been born in the house when it was on the West Adams or Figueroa or St. James Park. There were two cars in the driveway already. Big private sedan and a police car with a uniformed chauffeur smoking against his rear fender and admired the moon. Oles went over and the chauffeur looked at the boy in Oles' car. We went up to the house and rang the bell. A slick-haired blonde man opened the door and led us down the hall through a huge sunken living room crowded with heavy guarded furniture and along another hall on the far side of it. He knocked at the door and stepped inside. Then held the door wide and we went into the paneled study with an open French door at the end and a view of a dark garden and mysterious trees. A smell of wet earth and flowers came in at the window. There were large dim walls on the walls, easy chairs, smell of good cigar smoke which blended with the smell of wet earth and flowers. Taggart Wilde sat behind the desk.
What did Marlene say, Vito?
I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
Plump man with clear blue eyes that managed to have a friendly expression without having any expression at all. He had a cup of black coffee in front of him, and he held a thin cigar between the neat, careful fingers of his left hand. Another man sat at the corner of the desk in a blue leather chair. A cold-eyed, hatchet-faced man, lean as a rake.
What did Marlene say, Vito?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
And as hard as the manager of the loan office. His neat, well-kept face looked as if it had been shaved within the hour. He wore a well-dressed brown suit, and there was a black pearl in his tie. He had the long nervous fingers of a man with a quick brain. He looked ready for a fight. Bowles pulled the chair up and sat down and said, "Evening, Kronjagger. Meet Phil Marlowe, a private eye in a jam." Kronjagger looked at me without nodding. He looked me over as if he was looking at a photograph. Then he nodded his chin about an inch. Wilde said, "Sit down, I'll try to explain Captain Kronjagger. But you know how it is. This is a big city now. I sat down and lit a cigarette. Oles looked at Kronjagger and asked, "What did you get on the Randall Place killing?" The hatchet-faced man pulled one of his fingers until the knuckle cracked. He smoked without looking up. A stiff, two slugs in it, two guns that hadn't been fired. Down in the street we got a blonde trying to start a car that didn't belong to her. Hers was right next to it, the same model. Jacket rattled, so the boys brought her in and she spilled. She was in there when this guy Brody got it. Claimed she didn't see the killer. That's all Oles asked? Kronjagger raised his eyebrows. Only happened about an hour ago. What did you expect? Moving pictures of the killing? Maybe a description of the killer. Tall guy in a leather jerkin. You call that a description. He's outside in my heat, Oles said. Handcuffed. Marlowe put the arm on him for you. Here's his gun. Oles took the boy's automatic out of his pocket and laid it on the corner of Wilde's desk. Kronjagger looked at the gun but didn't reach for it. Wilde chuckled. He was leaning back and puffing his dappled cigar without letting go of it. He bent forward to sip from his coffee. He took a silk handkerchief from the breast pocket of the dinner jacket he was wearing and touched his lips with it and tucked it away again. There's a couple of more deaths involved, said, pinching the soft flesh at the end of his chin. Kronjagger stiffened visibly. His surly eyes became points of steely light. Oles said, "You heard about a car being lifted out of the Pacific Ocean off Lido Pier this morning with a dead guy in it?" Kronjagger said no. Kept on looking nasty. The dead guy in the car was the chauffeur to a rich family, Oles said. The family was being blackmailed on account of one of the daughters. Mr. Wilde recommended Marlowe to the family through me. Marlowe played it kind of close to the vest. I love private dicks that play murders close to the vest, Kronjagger snarled. You don't have to be so goddamn coy about it. Yeah, Oles said, I don't have to be so goddamn coy about it. It's not so goddamn often I get a chance to be coy with a city copper. I spent most of my time telling them where to put their feet so they won't break an ankle. Kronjäger whitened around the corners of his sharp nose. His breath made a soft hissing sound in a quiet room. He said very quietly, "You haven't had to tell any of my men where to put their feet, smart guy. We'll see about that, old said. The chauffeur I spoke of that drowned off Vito shot a guy last night in your territory. A guy named Geiger who ran a dirty book racket in the store on Hollywood Boulevard. Geiger was living with that car. I got outside my car. I mean living with him, if you get the idea. Kronjäger was staring at him levelly now. That sounds like it might grow up to be a dirty story. It's my experience. Most police stories are. Bowles growled and turned to me, his eyebrows bristling.
What did Marlene say, Vito?
I think she said anytime.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You're on the air, Marlo.
Give it to him.
I gave it to him.
I gave it to him.
I left out two things, not knowing just why at the moment. I left out
one of them.
I left out Carmen's visit to Brody's apartment and Eddie Marr's visit to Geiger's in the afternoon. I told the rest of it just as it happened. Kronjäger never took his eyes off my face, and no expression of any kind crossed his as I talked. At the end of it, he was perfectly silent for a long minute. Wild was silent, sipping his coffee, puffing gently at a dabbled cigar. Bowles stared at one of his thumbs. Kronjäger leaned slowly back in his chair and crossed one ankle over his knee and rubbed the ankle bone with his thin, nervous hand. His lean face wore a harsh frown. He said with deadly politeness, "So all you did was not report a murder that happened last night, and then spend today foxing around so that this kid of Geiger's could commit a second murder this evening." That's all I said. I was in a pretty tough spot. I guess I did wrong, but I wanted to protect my client. I hadn't any reason to think the boy would go gunning for Brody. That kind of thing is police business, Marlo. If Geiger's death had been reported last night, the books could never have been moved from the store to Brody's apartment. The kid wouldn't have been led to Brody and wouldn't have killed him. Say Brody was living in a borrowed time. His kind usually are. But a life is a life. Right, I said. Tell that to your coppers next time they shoot down some scared petty larceny clerk running away up an alley with a stolen spare. Wild put his hands down on the desk with a solid smack. That's enough of that, he snapped. What makes you so sure, Marlo, that this Taylor boy shot Geiger? Even if the gun that killed Geiger was found in Taylor's body or in the car, it doesn't absolutely follow that he was the killer. The gun might have been planted. Say by Brody, the actual killer. It's physically possible, but morally impossible. It assumes too much coincidence and too much that's out of character for Brody and his girl, and out of character for what he was trying to do. I talked to Brody for a long time. He was a crook, but not a killer type. He had two guns, but he wasn't wearing either of them. He was trying to find a way to cut in on Geiger's racket, which naturally he knew about from the girl. He says he was watching Geiger off to see if he had any tough backers. I believe him. Suppose he killed Geiger in order to get his books.
What did Marlene say, Vito?
Something like back.
Like that.
Okay, go.
Then scrammed with the nude photo Geiger had just taken of Carmen Sternwood. Then planted the gun on Owen Taylor. And pushed Taylor into the ocean off to suppose a hell of a lot too much. Taylor had a motive, jealous rage and the opportunity to kill Geiger. He was out in one of the family cars without permission. He killed Geiger right in front of the girl, which Brody would never have done, even if he had been the killer. I can't see anybody with a purely commercial interest in Geiger doing that. But Taylor would have done it. The nude photo business was just what would have made him do it. Wild chuckled and looked along his eyes at Kronjäger. Kronjäger cleared his throat. Wild asked, "What's this business about hiding the body?" I don't see the point of that. I said, "The kid hasn't told us, and he must have done it. Brody wouldn't have gone into the house after Geiger was shot. The boy must have got home when I was taking Carmen to her house. He was afraid of the police, of course, being what he is. He probably thought it a good idea to have the body hidden until he had removed his effects from the house. He dragged it out of the front door, judging by the marks on the rug, and very likely put it in the garage. Then he packed up whatever belongings he had there and took them away. And later on, sometime that night, before the body
and
stiffened,
before the body
he had a revulsion of feeling and thought he had treated his dead friend very nicely. So he went back and laid him out on the bed. That's all guessing, of course.
That's all guessing,
Wild
of course.
nodded.
Wild nodded.
Then this morning he goes down to the store as if nothing had happened. Keeps his eyes open.
And keeps his eyes open.
And when Brody moved the books out, he found out where he had been going, and assumed that whoever got them had killed Geiger just for that purpose. He may even have known more about Brody and the girl they had suspected. What do you think, Old?
What do you think, Old?
Old said, we'll find out, but that doesn't help
Kronjager's troubles.
What's eating him is all this happened last night. He's just been run in on it. Kronjager said sourly, I think I can find some way to deal with that angle too. He looked at me sharply and immediately looked away again. Wild waved his cigar and said, let's see the exhibits, Marlon. I emptied my pockets.
What did Marlene say, Vito?
Maybe I looked at it.
No. I'll play Big Daddy.
Okay, good.
I emptied my pockets and put the cash on the desk. The 3 notes and Geiger's cards and General Sternwood, Carmen's photos, and a blue notebook with a code list with names and addresses. I had hardly even given Geiger's keys to Olds. Wild looked at what I had given him, puffing gently at his cigar. Olds lit one of his own toy cigars and blew smoke peacefully at the ceiling. Kronjager leaned on the desk and looked at what I had given Wild. Wild tapped the 3 notes signaled by Carmen and said, I guess these were just to come on. If General Sternwood paid them, it would be through fear of something worse. Then Geiger would have tightened the screws. Do you know what he was afraid of? He said, looking at me. I shook my head. Have you told your story complete and all relevant details? I left out a couple of personal matters. I intend to keep leaving them out, Mr. Wild. Kronjager said, ha, and snorted with deep feeling. Why? Wild asked quietly. Because my client is entitled to that protection short of anything but a grand jury. I have a license to operate as a private detective. I suppose that word private has some meaning. The Hollywood division has 2 murders on its hands, both solved. They have both killers. They have the motive, the instrument in each case. The blackmail angle has got to be suppressed as far as the names of the parties are concerned.
What did Marlene say, Vito?
I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
Why? Wild asked again.
Why? Wild asked again.
That's okay, Kronjager said dryly. We're glad to stooge for the shamans of the standing. I said, I'll show you. I got up and went back out of the house to my car and got the book from Geiger's store out of it. The uniformed police driver was standing beside Old's car. The boy was inside it, leaning sideways in the corner. Has he said anything, I asked? He made a suggestion, the cop said and spat. I'm letting it ride. I went back into the house, put the book on Wild's desk and opened up the wrappings. Kronjager was using a telephone on the end of the desk. He hung up and sat down as I came in. Wild looked through the book, wooden face, closed it and pushed it towards Kronjager. Kronjager opened it, looked at a page or 2, and shut it quickly. A couple of red spots the size of $half showed on his cheekbones. I said, look at the stamp dates on the front paper. Kronjager opened the book again and looked at them. Well, if necessary, I said, I'll testify on the road that that book came from Geiger's store. The blonde Agnes will admit what kind of business the store did. It's obvious to anybody with eyes that that store is just a front for something. But the Hollywood police allowed it to operate for their own reasons. I dare say the grand jury would like to know what those reasons are. Wild grinned, he said. Grand juries do ask those embarrassing questions sometimes. In a rather vain effort to find out just why cities are run as they are run. Kronjager stood up suddenly and put his hat on. I'm 1 against 3 here. I'm a homicide man.
What did Marlene say?
I think she said stop.
Okay, go ahead.
If this Geiger was running indecent literature, that's no skin off my nose. But I'm ready to admit it won't help my division any to have it watched over in the papers. What do you birds want? Wild looked at Olds. Olds said calmly, I want to turn a prisoner over to you. Let's go. He stood up. Kronjager looked at him fiercely and stalked out of the room. Olds went after him. The door closed again. Wild tapped on his desk and stared at me with clear blue eyes. You ought to understand how any copper would feel about a cover-up like this,
feel
he
a
said.
cover-up like this, he said.
You'll have to make
You'll have
statements
to
of
make
all that.
statements of all that.
At least for the file.
At least for the file.
I think it may be possible to keep the two killings separate,
Two killings
and to keep
separate.
General
To
Sternwood's
keep
name out of
General
both of
Sternwood's
them.
name out of both of
Do you know
them.
why I'm not
Do you
tearing
know
your
why
ear
I'm
off?
not tearing your ear
No,
off?
I expected to get
I
both ears
expected to
torn
get
off.
both ears torn off.
What are you getting
What
for
are
it
you
all?
getting for it all?
$25 a day in
$25 a day in
expenses.
expenses.
That would make $50 in a little gasoline so far.
gasoline so
About
far.
that.
About that.
He put his head on one
put his
side
head
and
on
rubbed
one side and
the back of his little finger along the lower edge of his
lower edge
chin.
of his chin.
And for that amount of money,
For
you're
that
willing
amount of money, you're
to
willing
get yourself
to
in
get
Dutch
yourself
with
in
half
Dutch
the law
with
enforcement
half
in
the
this
law
county?
enforcement in this county.
I don't like it, I
I don't
said.
like it,
But
I
what the
said.
hell am I to
What the
do?
hell am I to do?
I'm on a case.
I'm on a case.
I'm selling what I have to sell to make a living. What little guts and intelligence the Lord gave me, and a willingness to get pushed around in order to protect the client. It's against my principles to tell as much as I've told you tonight, without consulting general. As for the cover-up, I've been a police myself,
as you know.
They come a dime a dozen in any big city. Cops get very large and emphatic when an outsider tries to hide anything. But they do the same things themselves every day, to oblige their friends or anything with a little pull. And I'm not through. I'm still on the case. I'll do the same thing again if I have to. Providing Kronjagger doesn't get your license, Wild Grin. You said you held back a couple of personal matters. Of what importance? I'm still on the case, I said, and stared straight into his eyes. Wild smiled at me. He had the Frank Daring smile of an Irishman. Let me tell you something, son.
What did Marlene say to you?
I'm not sure. Something like stared.
Where?
Okay, go ahead.
My father was a close friend of old Sternwood. I've done all my office permits, and maybe a good deal more to save the old man from grief. But in the long run, it can't be done. Those girls of his are certain to hook up with something that can't be hushed. Especially that little blonde brat. They ought not to be running around loose. I blame the old man for that. I guess he doesn't realize what the world is today. There's another thing I might mention while we're talking man to man, and I don't have to growl with you. I'll bet $1 to a Canadian dime that the general's friend, the son-in-law, the ex-bootlegger, is mixed up in this somewhere. And what I really hope to find out is that he isn't. What do you think of that? Regan didn't sound like a blackmailer. What I heard of him. He had a soft spot where he was, and he walked on it.
You think I don't know already?
Wild snorted. The softness of that spot, neither you nor I could judge. If he was a certain sort of man, it would not have been so very soft. Did the general tell you he was looking for Regan? He told me he wished he knew where he was, and that he was all right. I liked Regan and respected the way he bounced off without telling the old man goodbye. Wild leaned back and frowned. I see, he said, in a changed voice. His hand moved the stuff on his desk around. Laid Geiger's blue notebook to one side and pushed the other exhibits toward me. You may as well take these, he said.
What did Marlene say?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
He said, I've no further use for them. Chapter 19. It was close to 11 when I put my car away and walked around to the front of the Hobart Arms. Plate glass door was put on lock at 10, so I had to get my keys out. Inside, in the square barren lobby, a man put a green evening paper down beside a potted palm and flicked a cigarette butt into the tub. The palm grew in. He stood up, waved his hat at me, and said, "The boss wants to talk to you. You sure keep your friends waiting, pal." I stood still and looked at his flattened nose and club stake ear. What about? What do you care? Just keep your nose clean and everything will be jake. His hand hovered near the upper buttonhole of his open coat. I smell a policeman, I said. I'm too tired to talk, too tired to eat, too tired to think.